To actually succeed, you need to switch your mindset from this kind of effort-based mindset where you talk about consultants, headcount, FTEs and hours, etc., to actually a service value mindset. As a client, you need to be able to evaluate what your product or feature that you want to have delivered is actually worth. There is lots of challenges, but I think the most common always have been how to start.
Welcome to Beyond Delivery by Holisticon Connect, where tech meets true business value. Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of our podcast. I'm Sebastian, Client Relationship Manager at Holisticon Connect. Thank you for watching today. And with me is Maciej Reutt, the Managing Director of Holisticon Connect, part of the Nexer Group.
Hi, Sebastian. Good to be with you here. Thanks for the idea of inviting me as the first one. It's kind of an interesting experience for me as a first time, guest in a podcast. And I guess also for you as a first time podcaster or interviewer.
It's the first time for me as well, so it's gonna be interesting. We're open for feedback to the viewers, so let us know.
Let's start then, I guess, and let's share what we want to do with it. So let's get going.
So the idea for today's podcast is we want to tell you what the podcast is about, what the whole strategy or the idea is for the whole series. Then we want to talk a little bit about the industry, various industries, a little bit about outsourcing. And we're also here to show you, the human side of our company and ourselves and how we portray what's going on. So in this series, we aim to bring practical, strategic insights to the leaders, especially in those in innovation, product, and IT and operations. So if you're a VP, C-level, or a senior manager, you're thinking about tech strategy, cloud migration, AI adoption, or business aspects, and would like to learn how our journey within Holisticon Connect evolved, this podcast is for you.
We have discussed that for I would say quite a long time, that we are in a position which is, I would say, a little bit unique for us. On one hand, working with global clients within many industries, where we gain new perspectives, a lot of experience, and we would like to share that with everyone, just to maybe invite others to think about outsourcing and nearshoring, and how to scale their organizations, how to find some first-hand information on those topics. And on the other hand, we are also a company that is on one hand very standalone, based here in Poland, very entrepreneurial with our own strategy and own offering, but we are also part of a larger group which gives us the scale and access to global brands. So all that basically created lots of experience, a big network, and we would like to invite those guests to our podcast. I would like to share their perspectives, their experience in general on the outsourcing business, especially the B2B outsourcing, because that's where we are focused on. And I think that from building the company for last 8 years, and a decent growth, on average 50% year over year, most of the time, we have something to share, and we would like to give it to the audience that maybe will be listening to it. So we are open to feedback. We are open to, so yeah, as you said, Sebastian, if someone is interested into B2B software services outsourcing, that's the podcast for them. And I think if I have researched correctly, then there is no specific podcast like that in this format that we want to actually have with guests all around the world, and our own experience, and different focus topics that we want to share throughout all the series, all the episodes that we will have planned for the upcoming months and quarters.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you for that perspective. And like as you mentioned, there isn't really so much content out there about, the outsourcing or nearshoring services. So it's a great opportunity to learn that firsthand. And you also mentioned that you have a very entrepreneurial approach, and I think that's what kind of has attracted me to join and work with you. So yeah, I really like that aspect. And on top of like the business aspects, we aim to invite people that are professionals that are in the technology space across different industries, and the goal here is to share knowledge. We have a lot of expertise, but it's always great to hear that um, from the industry professionals as well, from specific companies. So yeah, that's what's coming up in this podcast.
Yeah, we can share, some value and some deep insights from various topics, like from domain expertise, from how we solve problems, especially in the, currently rapidly changing market for IT companies or outsourcing companies. Looking at the technology changes, models in which we deliver. So, I hope that's going to be very interesting for many people to learn from and to also participate with us in that journey.
Why do you think we should be sharing this knowledge? You already mentioned some, but maybe you would like to fill that in as well.
The main reason from our perspective is that when we talk to our clients or potential clients, or even a competition, then usually there is one outstanding challenge that people are actually wondering if they should outsource when they think about efficiency, when they think about scaling their business, when they think about some expertise, domain expertise. So I think what we want to do with this podcast is to share those learnings, give some tips, show various perspectives, from our colleagues, our clients, even our competition, how they have been overcoming that challenge with their clients, with their partners, to actually start on this journey to take on this challenge. And we want to guide people, we want to help them to make the decision and to see that there is a lots of good or even great companies that they can go to when they consider scaling their software services. Is it R&D, is it IT, is it digitalization of their products? So I think that's the main reason why we want to share this knowledge and also gain a lot from them, those that will invite and learn and ourselves basically for the future and to become even better in what we are doing.
Because you've been working with various clients on really interesting projects. There are different approaches on how the projects are delivered.
Yeah.
Do you see any specific trend coming up in this space?
Also, one of the reasons that we have been discussing this podcast and that we have been discussing, our approach to offering and to services is that we can see that right now there is a quite big shift in the market. So the way how the clients are starting to buy is changing, and it's changing more rapidly than ever. So I think the rise of modern technologies, just like automation, artificial intelligence, the ideas about digitalization of lots of the services that exist in the world, but also I believe that the customers are looking for yet another step up in how efficient they can work, how optimized their deliveries can be, and it's not only about you know uh, low cost solutions. It's more about the efficiency. It's more about the value that they can expect. And I think that one interesting trend right now is also what we can see from our clients and from the competition. is that more and more customers are looking into value-based services. So they are wondering how they can stop paying, for the typical time material services, so pay per hour, the effort-based services, and switch to something that is more related to the outcome that they expect to have for the money that they could pay for it. So that's what we observe, and we are working with such services, such clients as well. We have come, a journey with some of them as well, from as we mentioned, this time material to the value-based services, and it's not an easy thing, when you try to switch,
Indeed.
especially your mindset from being someone that has been buying, consultants paid per hour or something similar to that, and instead look at the outcome, the value that you get from the work of the team that you want to hire, and how to define that value, how to define, how much you can pay for that value. Yeah. So that's a journey that those clients need to take, and we can help with that, and we can see that there's actually many in the market that are looking into this right now. So I would say that this is an interesting trend where customers take more responsibility for, the scope and the requirements and priorities which they want to outsource, and then they expect, an output which is very well defined in like deliverables, often packaged within some deployment services, and somewhere in between they expect that the partner will implement, everything under certain KPIs and SLAs, so they can expect a proper quality, proper timely delivery, and actually the features that they have been defining in the scope. So that's something that is now very much on the agenda of our clients and potential clients, and I think it's very interesting in today world, today market, because the clients have, clear benefits from that. Like they pay for the result, the actual value of the product, and they value the product. Yeah, so they know how much they can pay for that. They don't pay for the effort, the long hours that the consultancy companies could charge. And they also in such models they offload their organizations, so there's less overhead, there's less risk on their side. That's something that the partner takes when they take more responsibility. So in the end they have more efficient deliveries, they have more efficient way to scale their organization, at the same time keeping the quality and timely delivery. And I think for companies like ours, or our competition, it is basically an opportunity, because you take more responsibility, but you have more flexibility in how you want to deliver that. And if you look at the service companies and the product companies, usually the challenge is that, and I don't have anything against product companies, but you can be a little bit sometimes laid back in the product company, and the service companies are like focused on the optimization. So we want to deliver as much as we can to our customers, so they are happy. So thanks to that, we have more flexibility in how we will deliver, how we set up the way of working, and basically there is a better span of control in those deliveries, and you take the risk management from the customer. So that makes, I think, a win-win situation for both. So that's one key trend that I see right now, and that we are looking very much into, and so are our clients.
That's very interesting. And also, as you were telling about that, I was thinking that from a perspective of a manager or a strategic professional, it's probably easier to plan ahead, take strategic decisions, knowing that certain partner, like us, for example, can deliver a finished product or a finished project within certain time frame. Yeah, it's just something that I thought of while you were explaining. And Yeah, another interesting insight or fact is that there is an estimation of the growth of the outsourcing to between 500 to 600 billion by 2030, billion dollars. So I personally thought it's going to be sort of like a dying industry. However, it's completely opposite. There are many benefits to outsource, which you mentioned. Yeah, so to summarize the ones that you mentioned, if I got them right, so they get the result that they pay for within the specific time frame. They sort of offload the risk and the overhead, and they have more efficient delivery and scaling.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Yeah, I think that that's basically the takeaways from it, and what I can add to that is, it may sound, great as an idea, right? You basically expect something, and you get it and you pay for it, but the key here is to actually succeed. Something that I said in the beginning, you need to switch your mindset from, this kind of effort based mindset where you talk about consultants, headcount, FTEs and hours, etc., to actually a service value mindset. So you need to be able, as a client, you need to be able to evaluate what your product or feature that you want to have delivered is actually worth. And then under that, we will implement, or your partner will implement, how this can be delivered without increasing your risks or cost. So that's something that I would take as a very important part of it. And then the key to succeed, in that, is to actually, when you switch from that mindset, you need to be much better, both as a client and also as a partner, in ensuring that the requirements are well understood and well elaborated. So on one hand, the client needs to elaborate the requirements very well, and then the partner needs to understand the client. So the definition of ready is crucial here. And then at the end, when you have the outcome that you expect, you need to have a very good definition of done. So actually, when will you accept the delivery, where the value is actually reached for what you are paying. And here, especially feedback loops with users, with stakeholders, is crucial to succeed in that.
I think it can be actually it can be a little bit tricky with the agile approach, right? Because you have a certain expectation at the beginning of the project, and then it changes over time while the project is being done, basically. So yeah, do you see any other challenges or pitfalls when it comes to these projects? Perhaps you can tell a little bit about the AI first solutions. I think that's a hot topic now, so we could touch on that.
Definitely, and there is lots of challenges, but I think the most common always have been, how to start. If you are thinking about outsourcing, is it nearshoring, locally from Scandinavia to Poland, just like we have started back in the years, or is it offshoring, from United States or Asia to Europe? Then many companies, many stakeholders in those companies, they are actually questioning themselves how they can do that, because especially in the mid-sized companies or small companies that are not within IT or technology domain, they have their mindset of their product, usually their product or their service something else, and they don't have big IT departments that can take responsibility for that. So I think that's one big challenge where the companies need guidance, where this podcast could actually suit their needs and their question marks. So then we can help them. Is it discovery workshops, or is it talked like this in podcast to actually enable other perspectives, to think about how you can approach that, to answer the questions, is it still worth it when the costs are going up, for example, in Europe? So that's a big challenge. But if you look at that from the value perspective and return of investment perspective, then just like you mentioned, the outsourcing market and outsourcing model is still very relevant for the future, because the clients are looking not only for a volume-based outsourcing, but they are looking more and more for expertise. They are looking more and more for, safe ways to scale, especially if they are not a technology company. So then they need technology partners to help them grow, to help them solve their, R&D or IT bottlenecks. So definitely that's one big topic that has been with us for many, many years, and we'll try to address that in this podcast and the upcoming episodes, definitely. And you mentioned AI, so I think these days it's also a quite a big challenge. If you look at the AI first solutions, or actually the need to implement artificial intelligence, products or services, because the large corporations, they have done it, yeah, or they are doing it on a daily basis, and they have the means, they have the competences, they have the budgets to actually do that. And they also create the offerings that they want to target for other large players, because that's the benefit that they can get from working with those. So very innovative, very, spearhead projects, large projects, global projects. And if you look at the smaller corporations or mid-sized companies, or even the small companies, or those that are, as I said, outside of the IT, domain, they often have a challenge with that, how to even start with this fancy AI solutions, yeah, because it's not that trivial to, let's say, take one of Amazon Bedrock LLM solutions models and just put that, as your own instance or on premise, and connect that with your databases to build a local knowledge base, and then implement all the interfaces or visualization of the output, and easy way for the users or employees to interact with it. Yeah, it's not that trivial, let's say, for a financial or audit company, or even someone that is I don't know, in a food industry, let's say. You need to have a competence, you need to have a knowledge, you need to know which models to choose, and then usually those are quite generic, so they need to fit your purpose. So the challenge is to actually customize that, to implement that according to your needs and to your needs of your organization, and that's usually where such companies lack the knowledge, or lack the competence, or they don't have the proper partner to actually do that. I think that's why also the statistic that you mentioned is also causing the outsourcing market to grow, basically. So uh,
Mhm.
yeah, that's my takeaway from it.
There is another aspect to implementing the AI solutions, which I hear quite often, is that once you have the solution ready, it's great. There is the wow moment, and then there's the scaling of the solution within the organization, as well as the quality of output that those solutions deliver, basically.
Yeah.
It's something I hear quite often when I speak to professionals from the industry. Okay, so yeah, you mentioned outsourcing and working with clients, and I'd like to take a little step back, and perhaps you could tell a little bit about what does Holisticon Connect do, because we jumped straight into it.
Yeah, so I think that, the idea about this podcast is to actually talk about some valuable topics, and of course we don't want to be anonymous, because it's quite a big project that we want to roll out, and it's quite many people behind it, from our company, you, myself, and the others from our growth team. So yeah, Holisticon plays quite a lot of part in this idea, in this podcast. And I think what we are doing as a company is something that we have been actually talking about. So we have originated as a custom software house based here in Poland, and we have evolved into a specialized, software services partner for clients within, biotech, telecom, automotive, and entertainment industries. And that's only few that I mentioned. That's why I was talking about this unique position that we can bring a lot of expertise from and perspectives from different domains. And what we specialize in is embedded and connectivity solutions for automotive, for IoT, for smart home solutions, and other industries as well. And then our main part is actually digital products. Is it building cloud-based solutions? Is it building AI-first solutions, or more, I would say, old school, back and front end solutions? That's where we fit the purpose. That's where we help our clients to scale their operations within R&D or IT, and help them to build either internal tools, internal infrastructure, or actually external products that then they sell in a B2B or B2C manners. And you ask what we do, and I can quote one customer that we work with for many years. Is that when I asked him, how he sees our collaboration, then he said, "I think it's one of the best, because basically, guys, you solve our problems without annoying us." So that also shows the part of our culture, and that we try to focus on the partnership, and actually solving the problems of our customers. Is it by challenging them? Is it by consulting? Is it by implementing what exactly they wish, if it's right, but without being this annoying outsourcing company that just wants more and more and more and more. So it's the other way around. We want to give back actually quite a lot.
That is also one of the reasons why I joined
And that's good to hear.
Holisticon.
That's the proof actually.
Looking back, it's been like 5 or 6 months, and I still enjoy working here, and I think it's consistent with how I portray the company, and I still think the same. So from the inside person info, I can say it is as it is, as it seems. So yeah, maybe briefly you could say a few words about what inspired you to fund the company.
I think, as usual, it was personal ambition in the beginning. When I finished, I think now it's more like 10 years ago. When I finished my previous job, I didn't want to like jump on another corporate role. And I have been working for many years with Scandinavian clients, especially with Sweden, and I wanted to connect the business approach that Scandinavian countries have. Sweden is famous for the unicorns, and for the global brands that they have. And then I wanted to connect that with our Polish ambition, entrepreneurial approach, and the work ethics that we have, and create an environment where we can actually bring more interesting, cool projects to Poland, and show how good the Polish engineers actually are, on a global scale. And I think that was the initial ambition. And I was always, a builder, so to build a new company was very ambitious for me. So at some point, I have run into a colleague of mine that was actually looking for someone to help him establish a new project in Poland. And that was a quite large investment from a Swedish client. And unfortunately, we have ended up only as a second in that request. And my previous employer actually won. So that kind of even sparked more ambition within me. And after a couple of months, I just gave them a call back to actually challenge them if we should turn all the ideas that we have had and all the work that we have done from being only on paper to a reality, and they agreed to that. So a couple of weeks later, we have met in Copenhagen airport to start drafting, like initial business plans and so on. And that turned out to be also an interview for me, if I'm the right guy to help them out. And a few months later, we have signed the papers, in Wrocław, just a few days after my 35th birthday. So that's the story how the company
Nice
originated.
present.
Yeah, and we are building it since then for last 8 years.
And it's going quite good from what I can tell. So yeah, thank you for this insightful story. Perhaps we can wrap up a little bit here. So the things we talked about today was why we're doing this podcast, what benefits or what value we want to deliver through this channel. Also, we discussed some trends and tips for businesses considering outsourcing. Yeah, anything else that we should add here, if I haven't missed anything?
Outsourcing model, is still very relevant, depending how you look at it. If you take it as a strategic decision, and you look at the return on investment from that, then that's how I think the companies, potential clients, looking into scaling their businesses should actually think about outsourcing, because then the return is much greater than the cost, itself, basically. So I think that's something that I would say to the audience, that if you are considering it, don't just say no because it's difficult, because you have never done it. Just reach out to a colleague that have done it, to reach out to a potential partner or couple of partners, just to benchmark them. And do not ask only for the solution, but ask also for the guidance, how to start outsourcing, how to build remote team, how to define value based service. And that's where you can actually succeed, because our stars or our competitions, they are happy to help with that part of the journey as well. So I would say that yeah, challenge yourself, and ask for guidance. That's how you can evaluate the model properly.
Yeah, another interesting stat that I came across recently is that nearly 40% of mid-sized companies outsource to stay competitive,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is quite
exactly. Yeah,
interesting.
exactly. That's very much true. It speeds up the development, definitely, when you are a kind of a scale up phase company.
Right. So, Maciej, this has been very insightful. Thank you very much for joining me today. And thank you, everyone who's listening. We'll share this podcast on all the platforms that we think are relevant. And coming up in this series, we'll feature conversations with some of our clients and other professionals from the industry. We'll be looking at the biotech, telecom, automotive, entertainment industry, and the idea is to provide you with knowledge and share it with you. So we also are thinking to divide it into mini series. So that's something you'll see coming up. And if you'd like to take part of the conversation, either as a guest or via recommendation, feel free to reach out to us on LinkedIn or through our website, and we'll be happy to chat.
Yeah, definitely. We will have many interesting guests, so it doesn't end with both of us being here constantly. So I think give us feedback. Subscribe to the platforms, and then if you have ideas that are within outsourcing for a topic or episode, then of course reach out to us, and we'll consider, for example, inviting you as well as a guest. So yeah, give us the feedback, subscribe, and help us grow this channel, so that we can spread the knowledge and show the various perspectives on outsourcing.
Right. Thanks again for your time today, and I look forward to our next episode.
Yeah, thank you very much,
Bye
Sebastian.
bye.
It was great talking to you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. What's one thing from the episode that made you think? Let us know in the comments and subscribe to the show. It really helps more people discover it. See you next time.